Hello there folks, this is Ferengi on board again, this time with a video about, I'm interested in starting a series, but, I don't know how often I will actually keep it. Something that I've been very interested in discussing on, and this time is dream interpretation. I feel that I can interpret many dreams, but I won't necessarily do this by behaving as if I know the meaning of all things, which is far from what I actually am. Everything is still an interpretation when it comes to other people's dreams, and dreams in general mean something specific to each individual, and they have to become introspective enough to realize what each dream would mean from them. Now, today I had a very interesting dream, which was actually, well, a bit stranger. It felt somewhat incomplete. Now, the first thing I would like to tell people about dreams is that, as of what I've seen, when people fall asleep, their consciousness will experience different levels, much higher than the mind, and it will leave or not. It will manifest a replica of itself, or a part of it leaves, or it entirely leaves the body. This is not something that I always know. I've had many moments when I fell asleep and I woke up and I was literally in the same exact place, but I was conscious it was not exactly me. For some reason, I never could see me while I was asleep, because for some reason I was never looking towards my own body, but I knew I was in a different state. And it happened to me, and it still happens, and it's becoming actually better and better. Now, today I had a very interesting dream this night. It was about the big star Betelgeuse, and I actually had to read about it a bit. And Betelgeuse is one of the brightest stars, a red supernovae, and it is situated in the Orion constellation. Now, I do admit I've been asking the universe to, present me some ideas about my backgrounds, and I'm speaking about, otherworldly background, and, backgrounds regarding my spiritual existence, and probably this could be one of those. Now, as a dream, it started more like a documentary, because I have seen a picture in a dream. Actually, it looked more like a almost three-dimensional documentary in which I was presented the star Betelgeuse, and actually its name was written below it and I could read it. And there were a few voices that would speak, but I don't necessarily remember much. I do remember, however, a great scene in which I could see the surface of a huge star, well, somewhat seen from a side and almost like very up close, and there was a voice that said, constantly bombarding it with black holes, and I could actually see black holes piercing through the surface of that star. I don't know exactly what that would mean, but I could actually see that each would leave like a tunnel in the in the surface of that star. And well, the way the animation looked, it seemed that the black holes were very, very tiny. And then suddenly I woke up, or I was shaken from that dream, and well, I was in the same exact spot where I fell asleep, and well, there was a black hole the size of a football ball, or actually somewhat smaller, came and bumped into me, into my chest. I was not stretched in the place where I was sleeping. I was sitting on my butt, and as I was lying like that, that black hole like almost instantly bumped into me, and it kind of ricocheted off my chest, and it fell somewhere near my left foot, and for a bit it seemed that it became almost one with it. I mean, its surface somewhat became one with my leg. I had a short fear that it would draw me in, but for some reason it felt awkward. Now, this is one of the situations which I call the glitch, because when it bumped into me, that black hole literally glitched. It became solid, and it felt like it was only a ball, and just like that. And after looking at it a bit, I just grabbed it with my left hand and threw it away, just like a ball, and it kind of felt almost solid. I've had other dreams like this in which I was encountering different entities, and for some reason they were either glitched from the beginning or they glitched in the meantime. Now, regarding the star Betelgeuse, I read about that because I was quite curious what would it mean dreaming that star in well, having a dream about that star. And well, honestly, I found this site which speaks about Betelgeuse in an interesting way, and it specifies somewhere um, by the end of the small article that even the Mayans would speak about stabbing beams that would penetrate from the heavens. And it is said that Betelgeuse as a star is deeply connected to the frequency of love, and namely the frequency of the heart chakra. And I was quite amazed because I was like, okay, so I dreamt of a star, and it says if you want to open your heart chakra, meditate on the sun or Betelgeuse and be prepared to receive the vast energies that will emanate from these stellar beings. Now, there are other things called the stellar codes and, well, cosmic love, but I'm not gonna dive into these for now. The stellar code is something that I'd be really interested in unveiling, because unveiling knowledge and wisdom is something that well, I feel it is a great purpose of mine. Now, black holes in dreams, I've had many dreams about black holes. Ever since I was young, I was fascinated with these, and I, for a short time, I had an impression that I actually died by one in one of my previous lives, or it was an act of enlightenment. Now, I have been studying and looking about black holes, and at a certain time I was like, I think I actually had seen all the videos YouTube had about black holes, but I still felt incomplete. It was like, hey, you know what, like, it's definitely not that much. And since I've always been strange in the sense that, you know, I can't simply accept stuff, and I simply will never do that without thinking about them and seeing what I actually feel about that as well, because I know many answers, I just have to ask the question, and at the right time they will come. Even if it takes years, those answers will come. And I've had a lot of answers given about black holes, and for some reason they kind of contrast science, and well, science is not something that I trust entirely anymore. Now, what I've seen about black holes is they are not a disk like they are portrayed in many movies. They are more like a sphere, and they are a sphere because, well, they also seem to follow principles of physics. They are basically nothing. They are literally pure force. They are pure gravitational force, and just that. They are not plasma. They are not I don't know, molten gas or whatever different people say. And I kind of realized that everything about black holes is more or less an interpretation. Sure, people use different physics, and you know, they stuff your head with a lot of formulas and the such, but I just can't simply accept that, because you know, even if technology is much more advanced than we, the population, know, the point is no one has shown us, hey, you know, we've actually been there. We even sent a probe inside. We've actually seen how they fluctuate space-time, and you know, it's like you're just giving me some facts, okay? Like, considering the scientific community actually has so much trouble with, you know, whether the earth is flat or not, it's like there's something awful, there's something strange happening with science nowadays, okay? So if it smells fishy, I just don't take it into account. Now, regarding black holes, the biggest ones actually get to influence, you know, the movement of galaxies. Now, if you look at galaxies, they also take up the form of a sphere in the central part, and you know, they are very bright because the attraction power of the black hole that lies in the middle of them is so strong that it concentrates a lot of gaseous material in there. Now the purpose of that black hole basically is to create life. Black holes are, well, it might sound interesting, but they are actually living beings. They are, well, conscious entities that live, and, well, just like the crystal people, they have a purpose. Their purpose is to simply purge memory. And memory is basically anything, like any form of imprisoned energy. Now don't look at this as, sounding very, very bad, okay? Like any energy that becomes something physical is subjected to some forces, okay? To some, let's call it codes, like in programming, okay? Because the universe exists just like in a video game. It has a code behind that allows everything to exist. Just like that, numbers have their own vibrations, and behind those vibrations there's definitely some code. And that is why we also have Gabor-Voice numbers and other sequences that, when used, if used with the right intentions, one can actually activate those codes in their favor. Now, everything that becomes physical, or even more than physical, in universes of much lower vibrations than our own, the point is there is definitely some code that makes that possible. We are actually alive because there are different codes that allow our existence, okay? Our consciousness, well, melds in a way with our body, and the body becomes part of the consciousness, okay? And the body has some chakras, which in a way I think they are a bit like black holes, because they are portals to other dimensions, and at the same time they also attract energy. They are centers through which, if I don't call it wrong, we actually feed our bodies, okay? They're not necessarily black holes, but I just have a very great fascination towards these entities. And up till a few years back, I think I was the only one who would consider black holes as conscious living entities, until I met an anime, Space Battleship Yamato, that actually presented this idea. And it was the movie, the animated movie, that, well, kind of expanded a bit on that, okay, but more like indirectly. So black holes present a lot of possibilities, a lot of ideas. Now, if you see black holes, usually they come up with a lot of panic, okay? Now, the panic you will see, you will feel more like, yeah, you will feel in your dreams is panic that does not belong to you, okay? When a black hole appears, it is kind of the end of all things, okay? Because its purpose is to release the code of memory, and literally everything becomes a simple, well, not necessarily in existence, but it becomes the purity of what it was before, okay? It becomes, let's say, almost in existence. And then the point is with black holes that as they draw matter in, you see these gases, this gas is still a kind of matter, okay? It is not as physical, okay, as things that we use, but it's still matter in a way. And black holes don't just suck everything in, like you see in movies, like instantly sucked in, okay? Like if you see this gaseous material in here, this can take even thousands, probably even dozens of thousands of years to be sucked in, because black holes just keep that matter around, and they know they have their own coding on how they work, and they attract some of the material inside because they are very slow manifestors, let's say. Everything in this universe manifests quite slowly, and let's not forget black holes kind of have an effect of bending time. Some make it faster, some make it slower. Now things go different in there because, well, they are basically nothing. And when I say nothing, they are basically just force. There is no more time in there. So the point is everything is stripped down to a point before its existence. And then there is basically a battle, okay? People would believe, and I even believed, that beyond the black hole there lies a great powerful light, which is basically all the light that it has drawn inside, and it could actually be the gateway to a so-called heaven. But that's not necessarily the case, okay? Heaven is something that is experienced when the consciousness leaves this universe, okay? You need to leave this universe, this lower vibration. You need to go to, well, higher vibrational universes to experience the such. Now there are some points in this universe that can point to a so-called heaven, indeed, but well, let's not get into too many details, shall we? So black holes are not picky eaters, they will simply gorge on literally everything. But when everything, I mean this everything, when they gorge on that, it takes a very long time to break it. And inside them, a battle occurs in which, small particles of antimatter and matter, are created and they just cancel one another. Now this process is not entirely complete and, well, is not perfect. Now science also states this. So the point is, this process might fail at times, and particles of matter are simply at times not countered by the corresponding particles of antimatter. And that is how, from time to time, and usually I felt there is a correlation, we have these jets of radiation that come out from the poles of black holes. You will see in movies that black holes suck in literally everything in seconds, probably even faster, and no, they don't attract things through their whole surface. They are not a tornado-like or something like this. They are just a sphere, and they attract everything only through their equatorial part. Some people might call me mad, some people might ask me how I know, it's something like this. And if you ask me how I know, well, and you really want a necessary belief, something to feed your mind and, accept as logical, just look at how galaxies exist. Look at their shape. They all have a similar shape that basically resembles black holes. They have a core, which in this case is the black hole, and then everything just whirls around them. And the core of galaxies will always be, just like this, okay, the dome, as I call it, and literally everything around it is more like flat, okay. If black holes would attract things differently, galaxies would also shape themselves accordingly. Now, I'm not a physicist or a physician, I think a physician or a physicist, yeah, the one who deals with physics. I kind of confound the two words. And, well, I don't necessarily have, proof of these, but the point is I'm here to experience my own truths, which may not necessarily be the truths of everyone. So, now, black holes will also spurt out energy outside of them. Well, yeah, spurt out energy outside, yeah, sure. So this will happen because black holes are basically what I called them when I was very young. I would call them the laundry machines of the universe, okay? They just make sure that they turn what I call corrupted matter into pure energy. Now this sort of radiation is basically another form of life. It is the most voracious life form because it is so imbalanced, okay? That is why it is radiation. Radiation is one of the most imbalanced forms of life because it is not balanced, okay? It is radiation, which means it has an excess of energy, but it doesn't have enough electrons. That is why radiation is deadly to living beings, and, well, because it has so much power, it acts as a neutron star when it enters a solar system. It will strip things apart if they get too close to them, because even if radiation is, in a very tight spot, the point is it will simply be, well, it remains voracious, and it will be hungrily looking, voraciously looking for things that will help itself stabilize, okay? And radiation, for example, when it gets in contact with us, it will strip other molecules in our bodies of their electrons so that they balance themselves. Now molecules and atoms have their own defense that they give, they use some of their own energy to keep their electrons for themselves, but the energy these forms of life have is so great that they simply cannot withstand it, so they will lose their electrons. And well, radiation will kind of balance itself, but the point is they will leave some imbalances behind. Now imagine what happens if your molecule of DNA suddenly loses one electron from one of your elements only. Okay, there is an imbalance there, and that imbalance can lead to different changes. Now that is why radiation is quite deadly to living beings, because you won't be losing just an electron from a simple atom. Okay, the DNA is a molecule that is probably one of the most stable in this universe, okay, or at least on this planet. Okay, no acid can break it down. No, well, I doubt any substance can actually break it down. Even at high temperatures it still remains, at least a few bits of it will still remain together. So there are very very few ways of disposing DNA traces. Okay, now black holes in dreams. Usually black holes come in dreams as very intimidating. They are a source of fear theoretically. Now when this happens in your dreams, you should be mindful that that fear in most of the situations is not actually yours. It is a fear you have accumulated from others, and usually when fear exists in yourself, fear is actually the result of different devices or entities that are promoting that in order to feed themselves from your own energy. A black hole, when it appears in your dreams, if you look on the internet, you'll probably find stuff that it's bad. They are a sign of depression, they are a sign of the such. And I was like, dude, I'm not necessarily that depressed. Okay, like those explanations kind of did not fit me. Now black holes usually are a sign of awakening. They are a sign of accessing your subconscious mind, and they are a sign that you are starting to get cleansed. What of? Well, you will have to see, because to each their own. You will have to see. But usually you'll be cleansed of karmic debts, you'll be cleansed of negativities that you have acquired. I have seen on Quora several posts of people looking for answers, what their dream would mean. They saw the earth being destroyed by a black hole, and I told that person it has to do with the karmic debt that we are going to pay, and we actually are paying now through the Kant virus hysteria. And well, there are a lot of things. Okay, there are a lot of possible interpretations, but usually the black hole is a sign of renewal. Okay, it is a sign in a way of destruction, but destruction is only the beginning of something new. In order to create something better, the old must be replaced. Okay, that's how things work in this universe. It has always been that an empire or a country or something, a force had to fall so that something else, something most likely better, would be built on top of it. Okay, now I'm gonna sum up this video. Like, basically black holes are a sign of renewal. They will bring a lot of panic, yes, because they are a representative, first of all, of one of the greatest, if not the greatest, fears of any living being, and that the fear of the unknown, the fear of something that you cannot perceive, because black holes will always be above our conscious minds. The conscious mind was not designed to penetrate the mysteries of black holes alone. It requires a much greater, let's say, vision of the world. It requires a lot of deeper introspection. And the more introspective you will become, the more you will be stripped of your illusions and masks and personas, right? Yes, all I can say is enough for this video. Hope you found this interesting, and yes, I kind of babbled a bit around black holes, but well, I hope it was somewhat informational. Feel free to share this video, feel free to like and subscribe if you like my type of content, or at least share it with friends so that other people can see, and well, if they like it, see other videos that I create. Until next time, I'm looking forward to provide you more of my, well, wisdom that I have acquired and some of the answers that I have been given, and I know I have been given these answers to promote them to others. So until next time, Ferengian Board signing out.